You have questions, we have answers. This is Jane Miller.
And this is Ken Muller. Welcome to our show, all about real estate with Ken and Jane. We are joined back again this Sunday morning with Dr. Victor Valeski, the superintendent of the East Brunswick Public School System. Dr. Valeski, welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me again.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Well, we have a lot of more to discuss. We didn't get nearly to finish our discussion on the East Brunswick High School. We're not going to go through that whole recap again, but we want to cover the part where how the board and the is going to get involved in coming forward with the agenda for the referendum, for what's involved from now till the referendum is out to the public.
Yeah, so a lot of background work has been done previously over many different board memberships. So we've probably been talking about the what ifs for the high school for about 8+ years. But where we are right now is the board has made a decision that ninth grade should be part of the high school composition. We have about 3.5 years left on our temporary classrooms that we have at Churchill before we would have to ask the state for a waiver to allow those to continue. So our ninth grade will continue at Churchill until we make these next decisions. But the next things to be done are to refine the cost estimates that our architects have put together for both a renovation of the existing high school, but adding the ninth grade there, or building a brand new high school. And then the third option that needs to be considered and talked about with the community is, should the community decide they do not want to pursue either of those options, what's the cost of not doing anything? And there will be a cost to that. Yeah. So those are the three things that we're trying to refine the numbers on. And then the board would have to set a date for a referendum. And then when they do that, the community would have the opportunity to cast their vote on support or for a project or not.
So that's roughly about 2025, right?
Yeah, and it could move into the early parts of 2026 at this point, based on timing.
And then if the referendum were to be successful in voting for a new school, then by the time the new school could be constructed, conceivably, wouldn't it be maybe another year or so? It would probably take a year's worth of construction. So we're talking maybe 2027 at the earliest, if that were approved by the residents. The
new school timeline would be about 30 months for construction.
30 months, yeah.
Would be the outward timeline. It could be done a little faster than that if weather was permitting. We didn't have any issues with contractors or supplies, materials. But all those things have to be factored in along the way, and that's inclusive. That would be building the new facility and demolishing the existing high school.
But if we should choose to build a new high school, the students still can remain in the current facility.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So they can build, after they build it, they can move into new one.
Absolutely.
And then you can finish off what you have to do with it.
Yeah.
That would be a much more smooth transition for the student and the parents.
Less intrusive on the student learning experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's going to take a long time if you want to renovate rather than build. So the school, especially the high school, they have to so much academic, they have to really do.
Right, and even simple things like traffic flow on the school, which can be challenging from time to time now, depending on the time of day. When you start adding, construction, activities on a campus and making sure that's all contained, you end up modifying the traffic patterns. And again, it's part of it is learning. Parents, once they learn the routine, they can navigate it.
But just going back to the expansion, since that's on the table for consideration, where physically in the high school would it be? How would it be expanded? I'm visualizing the existing footprint, because behind the school you wrap around. When I drop my daughter off, I go around the back of the school and re-exit back onto Cranberry Road. Right. But you have the athletic fields, the football field below there, and you have parking. So they were talking about taking some of that parking
Well, part of one of the options we're considering for if expansion and renovation of the existing school is the way that we would go. If you are physically looking at the building from the front, on the left side where the cafeteria is and where that wraparound goes back to the athletic fields, an expansion would occur there, and some of the wings that transgress out the back of the building, they're kind of like the spines out of the building. As you drive behind the building, you can see that very clearly. Taking some of those down and building a block that might be multi-story back there. Well, you still have to retain the parking back there and the drive around.
That's what I was thinking out loud now, because I visualize that pathway is relatively narrow and that's that's utilized for parking. So if there is an expansion, you're going to eliminate, I would think, or unless you replace some of the wings, make them less shorter and higher, but
correct.
But you're going to parking is still going to be a challenge.
It's already a challenge.
Well, and these are things that are not. These are all facility related things that don't. And in spite of all that, this school system is still outstanding in terms of its academics. But it's a shame that the teachers and the students and the buses have to deal with these parameters,
and I give our staff a huge amount of credit because even with the building and the limitations we have in the building, our staff do a great job preparing students for their future, and I think that's what we're known for. So the building doesn't make the education, that the teachers make the education, but having a facility that could adapt to 21st century teaching techniques, the way students learn, I think it would actually give students that opportunity, and many of them do it now, to actually almost complete that first year of college, at a high school setting.
Yeah, our daughter, it's APs,
APs.
And
and so I think, we'll talk when your daughter gets to college, but I'm sure she's going to report back that her first year in college was pretty different than most of her peers.
It's outstanding the number of AP classes that are offered by the high school, and you could just AP max yourself out and numerous AP. It's the academic criteria is second to none at the high school. That's from my experience, from what I see, the challenging courses that they offer in the physics, the chemistry, the biology. World history. There's just so many. It's just BC calculus, which is by most people's even by experienced engineers.
What I love our East Brunswick school is the most is like a round. When I was a kid, right? You just study, practice. It's no fun, okay? And we really have no hobby. So now people laugh at me and say, Jane, what do you do besides your work? I said, work. But our school is so fantastic. Yeah. Our school well known for the art, for the music, for the sport. All the children, I'm jealous. They have all this experience I never had, like our daughter, right? I never had. And some teachers, I have to say, I'm amazed, right? When I was a kid, I hate math. Even though I was good at it because my mother forced me to practice since 5 years old. Yeah. So I was very good at math, but I never liked it. When Maria was 10th grade, right, Ken, she has this math teacher. Mm-hmm. He is such a fun guy. Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe he was a math teacher. All the children were so happy.
Yeah, one day she was baking brownies. I said, what are you doing? She said, I'm baking them for school. I said, well, what particular subject? She said for the math, because the teacher wanted us to, it was an assignment they gave us to illustrate something.
When we go to a parents-teacher conference, we see the painting, the artwork, student made for him. I was like, oh my God, it was so fantastic. And big shout out to our music,
music department. Yes. My daughter is in the marching band.
Yeah. Oh wow,
that
was
Mr. Toth. His effort, his dedication, and love of the kids, and
that's not only taught her music; it taught her discipline.
Yeah.
You have to get there 5 minutes before the due time.
And marching band is no easy task.
It's almost like a year-round commitment. They start they have practices where school starts in the summer.
Third year she is in there.
Training camp in the hot summer days of August. They're out there. Those kids are out there working, getting ready for the upcoming season.
But what you talk about is really about the intermediate philosophy that we have at East Brunswick is that we want to prepare students for their 21st century opportunities, but it's no longer that they may go work in an established industry. Mm-hmm. They may set their own path, and they may decide they're going to create their own career, and they may be very successful at it. So those unique opportunities that round a student out are what gives them that opportunity to think globally and to think that maybe I have no limitations on my abilities or skills.
Absolutely. I think also, right, I mean, school, your test result is not defined you. You may not be good at the school test, but you could have other talents, right? And the school give you a chance to develop that and build up your confidence.
Well, and that's one of the other things that we did not touch upon. The advantage of having a new school is it would allow for an expansion of some of the industrial arts rooms. Right now, there's a limitation on it. So those voc students or those students that demonstrate ability in that would have more opportunities at the high school itself to learn on.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, people my age, we talk all the time about, I had the opportunity to have wood shop in school.
I did too,
I had metal shop, and I think we had leather shop at one point. But wood shop was something where I learned how to use tools, and I learned how to use wood. And so when it comes to home construction projects, we don't call contractors anymore. My wife will go, you can do that. So.
Ken, you must miss that class.
No, I can do certain things. As long as
Ken is so proud. He can install the smoke alarm.
There you go. That's all good.
Not just the electric ones. No.
Yeah, that's all good.
That's about it. That's the limit.
I can use a saw and hammer and do basics, but nothing.
That's another day topic.
On my scale, on the handiness is maybe on a 5. I'm not the worst, I'm definitely not a 10.
That's okay.
I'm thinking too. At least admit that.
That's true. Yeah, but also it's amazing. So right now you serve the student body is about over 8,000 students according to the website. I think 8,003. So that's quite a large.
Actually, we've crossed about 8,400 students.
Oh, 8,400.
Wow.
So
in real time because we have many registrations this year. So our population continues to grow.
That's right. But the student-teacher ratio is still fairly competitive.
Yes.
I thought it's 17-1 or so.
Yes.
That's still for this size community and district. It's I think still.
Yeah, and giving students that individualized attention, yet not having the classes so small that they aren't effective. So there is a mix between having classes that are too big and some that are too small.
Yes.
Sure. All right. Why don't we take a short break? We'll be right back after these messages. Okay, welcome back. So, Dr. Valeski, let's talk about what makes East Brunswick. We spoke about the facility challenges. Let's talk about what makes East Brunswick an exceptional school district.
I think without a doubt, it's the people. It's our teachers, our staff, the people that support the teachers, the administration, support staff, instructional aides, the people who work in the child nutrition department that serve the food, the people that drive the buses that deliver the children. We're blessed with a very, very great staff, and people enjoy working for East Brunswick. And part of my job is that East Brunswick is a public school district, but for many people, it is also a second home. They spend probably more time with the people they work with than they do with their immediate families. And we try to make it supportive, engaging, and safe.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think also the East Brunswick resident, always support the school. Whatever they can, they volunteer like a coach, or they volunteer financially, they volunteer their time. In East Brunswick, it's take a village to raise the children. I think our East Brunswick, the whole town is together to help with the.
And you hit it you hit it correctly when you mentioned also the bus drivers, also the security people. Because when I
security.
drive,
I love the
my
security
daughter off
people.
to school, those guards work so hard, and it's not an easy job doing the traffic flow management when you're coming into the high school. The guard that's there, they're stationed. They do a well job because there's flow from all different directions, and then balancing it with the lights, and so nobody. So it's a very smooth transition and the drop off experience with all those students coming into the school in the morning.
Well, our transition, our school security team has evolved over the decade I've been with East Brunswick. And so there were questions early on as we started to expand, and of course we always hired retired law enforcement officers. Yes. How are they going to work with kids? What's that relationship going to be like? And I'm happy to say that our SSOs, our school security officers, have great relationships with students, and as a group, they're probably recommended and nominated more frequently than any other for the support staff position of the year in their building because of the relationships they have with the students and the other staff. They're just a great asset to the school community.
Yeah. Totally agree. And also for the safety of the school.
Yeah. And every year we have the marching band, the homecoming, which was hosted. We have our turn to host it, and all the parents volunteer for that, and that requires a lot of dedicated effort among the parents and also the security staff to make sure all those schools coming in for the band competition. That always goes off. That went off very well last year and in past years. So
yeah, they do a great job, and we have a great relationship with the East Brunswick Police Department. So we are coordinated with them, but we just have great people.
Right. And certainly the ranking, all the things you mentioned are the real reasons what make the school system exceptional, and the rankings prove it. We're rated among the best school districts in New Jersey and U.S. News and World Report, along the NEAT, however you pronounce it, niche system.
Yeah, niche.com.
Niche.com. So I guess the schools have different criteria that's used by niche.com versus other systems like U.S. News and World Report. But we rate high in all those areas regardless of whatever criteria they use.
Yeah.
But strictly
niche uses a lot of survey results, a lot of people submitting their own reviews of schools and things like that. So, but I'm proud of how we rank. We continue to work harder to raise our profile, raise our ranking. I know on niche.com, we didn't score as well this last year on facilities, and part of that is because of our aging high school. So that's one of the things we're trying to address.
And that's no reflection on your staff or the teachers or the students. That's just something that we inherited. We happen to have an older high school dating back to the mid 1950s, and that's where everybody's dealing with that the best we can.
Right.
Well, we're going to have a new school soon, hopefully.
I hope so.
That will solve all the problem.
That's my hope. I hope we can convince the East Brunswick community that this would be a prudent investment in the future of not only students, but in East Brunswick, in your own property values.
Now, how would it work for the referendum to be successful? Would 50% or more have to pass it? So let's say on this referendum, there's three options. One is a new school. Second is expand the school. 3 is do nothing. Right. If it's a 40% vote for the new school, 30% vote expanded, and then the balance 30% vote do nothing, then you have not reached. Then there's not.
We would only have one question on the ballot, though.
Oh,
we would probably what we would do is we would probably just ask the question if for the approval for the whatever the option the board wanted to pursue. But I don't want to speak for the board, but
sure.
I see.
So they would decide if we were going to go to referendum for a renovation or if we're going to go to referendum for the new school. Okay. So then if we failed, then we could go back and ask the other question. But it gets complicated if you try to mix the questions.
Mix it because you run the risk of not getting the majority needed. Yeah, that makes sense.
If it doesn't work, you have to wait for another year.
No, you have a shorter period. I believe it's 6 months, but we have defined times in the calendar year that we can actually establish the next referendum date, and they're defined by statute. So we would have to gear back up, go back out to the Department of Education. Either we have to ask a completely new question, or we have to ask the exact same question a second time. So it depends on the results, and I think my job is to try to effectively communicate the needs to the community first time around, and that I think if people see the value in a new school, I think they would support it.
Sure, I have a lot of resident East Brunswick ask me what a benefit to them because their children long gone and they have, long gone. So what the benefit, I always tell them, first of all, carrying cost. Maintenance cost, right? It's like always going to be there.
Also, property values.
And secondly, exactly, when you sell your home, and that's the time, you get more for your property. That's the time you get a benefit from that. Yeah, as a homeowner, yes.
Yes, absolutely. Also, let's touch upon the East Brunswick has a well-known special education department that provides an array of great services to students. They have the child study team. Can you talk a little bit about that program?
Yeah, our department has grown under the direction of our newest director, Luis Sultana, and so this has been providing services to students who just don't learn a particular way. And special education is a very encompassing spectrum. So meeting the needs of all students is very important to that group of people, and working with families to make sure that their students are serviced within the East Brunswick Public Schools to the greatest extent possible. And there are some opportunities where students have needs that we don't have the resources for. So we partner with out-of-district institutions where children have those opportunities that are paid for by East Brunswick. But our challenge and our mission really is to offer those children the least restrictive environment, being closest to home, to be able to be with their peer groups and experience their school setting just like everybody else does, but with the supports they need to be successful.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, our town is well known for the special program.
Yes.
I know a lot of families move in for that particular reason.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Without a doubt, because just the quality of the programming that we do and the resources that parents are entitled to.
Yeah. I saw people moving here from Pennsylvania, from New York, helping the children.
It's actively communicated among groups, what the value of East Brunswick in schools.
Yeah, in fact, you have clients from
all the time,
specifically to be in East Brunswick for the special needs of the child who may be autistic or have other.
Yes, absolutely.
Needs.
Yes, often. Yes.
Yeah. So, in the last 20 years, we spoke about the facility being outdated. Prior to then, what changes do you see to the learning environment, the classroom techniques? That when I went to school, it was a traditional lecture, sitting in the desk, and very little participation by the students. It was more, the teacher would write on we used to call it a blackboard. I guess now it's chalkboard, and I was young enough not to avoid the whip and the stick. But I mean, those are But now education, the whole learning experience has evolved more. I know the colleges and a lot of the schools, it's all based on like the circular setting, and I just see from our daughter's experience, just gauging more student participation, more student presentations, just less lecturing. I mean, certainly certain courses you need it, but it's just involving the students more in the classroom participation, which I think is a very good life skill for them to develop their self-confidence. But just want to get your perspective on the learning experience.
Yeah, I think that the evolution that I've seen in my career is that we've moved from that lecture type format. We used to call it, when I was a student, it was called drill and kill. You'd sit there, your teacher would just lecture all the time, and you just like, okay. And you would take notes, and you'd try to capture everything you knew you were going to have on the exam. And now students are engaged in more project-based learning that for their own discovery. Like there might be multiple answers to the same question, and it's about how do you defend your answer. It's kind of like if you go to law school, there are multiple ways to defend a client. You got to be smart enough to know which approach you're going to use. And even in engineering, that there are multiple approaches to solving a problem.
Right.
And especially when you're talking about material science now, the evolution of material science and all those kinds of things. This is an opportunity for students to engage hands-on and be part of their own learning, but still with a piece where that the master in the class is still the teacher delivering that instruction, but students surprise us all the time, and you know, I've heard presentations by students, and I walk out and go, "That was a college level experience right there."
Oh,
you
I'm
know?
sure. Yeah,
it makes you feel so proud to see what we're doing in our high school.
We learn that firsthand with our daughter. Yeah. Sometimes during the dinner discussion, something she say, we look at each other and said,
Yeah.
you know,
Where's this adult?
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's very.
The learning is definitely it's the dedication, like you said, of all the teachers, and but encouraging the students to participate and also work in groups. That's a theme I think that a lot of the classrooms employ. Where teachers will break the students up into small groups and let them work together on solving a math problem, and then the teacher would observe how they do it, and then try to gauge their thinking and approaches, and observe that whole process.
Well, I think one of the things that's a testament to our teachers and their success is that we have multiple dual enrollment programs with colleges, but specifically with Middlesex College. Our teachers have to be reviewed by Middlesex College, and they have to be certified as being able to teach a college level course. So they're high school teachers teaching college level course, and if parents want to pay the fee, which is very minimal,
That's a great.
It's such a deal
that I hope all parents in East Brunswick know about, because that's something to really take advantage of. It can save you a lot of money for college, and you get credit for those county courses. So that's a win-win.
And not every college accepts them, but it is a low cost option in high school to accumulate those credits, and depending on where your child desires to go to college or where you want to send them, it might save you a year or more.
Yes. I mean, even it didn't take, but the children already learned. So when you go to college, it's easier for them to adjust to the new environment and then learn at the same time. As you said, very good foundation.
Imagine saving 1 year on your college education and costs for a child. It's probably, it's tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, even we had this conversation with somebody yesterday about even just like a Rutgers, even the state school for an in-state resident. It's not cheap. It's quite expensive.
Right.
So it's every dollar definitely counts. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So we're all out of time. Again, the time went so quickly. I will just end this with saying thank you very much, Dr. Valeski, for being our guest again.
Thank you for having me. It's been great talking to you.
And let's go Bears.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
All right. We'll see everyone next week. Take care for now.
Bye.